Do you know that human trafficking exists in America? Do you know that human trafficking is considered slavery? If human trafficking exists in America and is considered slavery, that means slavery is in America. Now, sadly, slavery does exist in America, and it is slavery. Human trafficking does exist in America, and it is slavery. Here's how human trafficking works. First, they lure the victims in with false promises. After they lure the victims in, they force them to work for nothing or little to nothing. This does indeed take place in America, and the government is trying to prevent it. As I stated before, firstly, human trafficking is luring the people in. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says victims are often lured with false promises of well-paying jobs or are manipulated by people they trust, but instead are forced or coerced into prostitution, domestic servitude, farm or factory labor, or other types of forced labor. We don't know exactly when human trafficking began, but some people believe it began in the mid-1700s when children were forced to work in the factories for hours. Obviously, human trafficking has evolved from that to something a little worse. First, luring the people in. After they lure the people in, they do horrible things. Secondly, they force the people, the victims, to work for their benefits. The ICE states that they, the victims, are forced into prostitution, involuntary labor, and other forms of servitude to repay debts, often entering the United States. The victims of human trafficking are put into horrible situations. They sometimes are beaten to work, and sometimes they even die. On the other hand, some aren't as bad and are just not being paid as what they said they would be paid. Yes, this is still considered human trafficking. Thirdly, the human trafficking is being addressed by the human trafficking is present in this great country. Victims, there are countless witnesses of these things happening to people. The FBI affirms, it's sad but true. Here in this country, people are being smuggled like modern-day slaves. Human trafficking is in Atlanta. Actually, Atlanta is one of the top cities for human trafficking. Martina Okiki is a Nigerian woman who used to live in South Jamaica. She made $100 a week working for taking care of a toddler. A Nigerian couple on Staten Island contacted her and offered a $300 job, a $300 a week job that consisted of cooking, cleaning, and take care of her children. She said yes and went to work for them. She said she toiled 12 years for a paycheck that never came. 12 long years with no pay. She was basically their slave. Obviously, human trafficking takes place in America. You may be thinking, well, what is the government doing with this? Fourthly, human trafficking is being addressed by the government. The FBI says they have stepped up its efforts to disrupt human trafficking operations worldwide and to free its victims. These efforts are focused on combating the exploitation of individuals who work in labor industries such as agricultural and domestic servitude, and who are forced into prostitution and or slave labor. The government has also set up phone numbers that you can call, and you can tell them any suspicious activities you have seen, and hopefully they will go and investigate the thing you have described. The government also has a health and human service that is in charge of finding the victims. Once they have found the victims, they give them a federal funding benefits. They are also in charge of raising awareness about human trafficking. Human trafficking is a horrible thing. Millions of people suffer from it, not only in America, but in other countries also. As of 2007, 27 million people have suffered from human trafficking. Human trafficking is slavery. It is luring the people in so you make them work for your benefits. Human trafficking is is a real problem. People die from this, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. Now, before you go out and get a new job, make sure you won't be the next victim of human trafficking.